on board with Twilight right now on that Zenyatta. You're looking for those right clicks. Ooh, and if you can get a pick onto Jaehong over there, that would be huge.
Right now, it's just playing around the point. It unlocks now, so now a team can start to take control as the circle fills up.
Time to start fighting. Vancouver Titans nearly get here. Ooh, Haksal down. Fleta in response here too, and Vancouver Titans starting to roll over Seoul Dynasty. They will take control of the point first and get that control percent building. Seoul Dynasty just not ready for the aggression, but man, against Vancouver, like who?
Destroyer mech, she pops out, and the longer you wait to eliminate her, that means it takes longer to respawn and you get more control percent built up.
That's a nasty stagger, right, man?
Yeah.
They gotta wait longer to get their full team back together again. Seoul Dynasty now, everybody rezzed, everybody respawn, trying to find an angle to come in onto Vancouver, but you gotta go through that choke. That's rough. Sominsu so charged up on that Zarya. He's got his ultimate built up as well. Graviton Surge gonna be tossing out that mini black hole to try to keep Seoul Dynasty all packed together. Looking to land that though. Ooh, gets stunned. A little bit of trouble here. Backs away, but they do get the kill on Marvel first. The Reinhardt down on Seoul Dynasty side. They're fighting the 5v6 now. Vancouver with the edge again in this fight. Looks like Seoul Dynasty gonna have to reset this one.
That's right, and as you can see, Sominsu at the top right of your screen has that blue check mark next to the Zarya. That does mean the ultimates are available. Just the rally to give extra armor, and there's a nice stun with the shield bash onto the main tank, Marvel of the Seoul Dynasty.
Interrupted his ultimate there in the process too, so that was an ultimate negated on that Reinhardt by Haksal. Big plays already. Now speaking of ultimates, Marvel takes out Twilight here, and now Sominsuki to use that Graviton Surge. Seoul Dynasty trying to stay alive with Zenyatta's Transcendence here. No kills yet on the Vancouver side of things, but now the Grav comes back in again. That's a self-destruct, but no kills. It's going to be Seoul Dynasty though, able to grind this one out, taking out members of the Titans, and they look like they are going to flip the point. That said, it's already 92% out of 100 for Titans, so the Seoul Dynasty have a lot of defending ahead of them.
They do, and basically that means the Vancouver Titans only have to win one more fight in order to take this map, unless extraordinary circumstances occur. Haksal, as you can see, about to have that rally to give his team some extra durability with armor as they head into this next engagement. Fleta just a little bit behind on the Mirror Brigitte.
I mean, Vancouver Titans, they can push this slowly, too. They can take their time, man, build up some more ultimates. Just trying to shove Seoul Dynasty back a little bit here as they jump down from the high ground. Fleta a little bit low. Can they keep him alive? The wall goes down. Jaehong goes down as well. A slam in response. Marvel using that Earth Shatter, but they can't turn that into kills. Meanwhile, bumper grabs two, and the Vancouver Titans retaking the point 99%. We're into they want to prevent it, but they can't. Vancouver Titans take the first round here on Busan.
And Doa, a lot of these teams right now, what we've seen in stage one is a ton of 3-tank, 3-support compositions. Yeah. And Vancouver are the masters of this style of play. Seoul is trying to mirror them, playing the same heroes, but that is such a difficult task when you're facing against the masters of this metagame.
You know, when Seoul Dynasty swaps to this sort of alternate roster that we're seeing with Marvel and Fitz and Zunba in there, they tend to play a more measured style. And while that worked out against New York, I'm not quite sure this is the swap you want to make against a team like Vancouver. I think see what they can do in the second round, but it's a rough start.
Yeah, definitely a rough start for them. We are going to see the same compositions here as we head into our second point. The point is around the drum in the center of the temple. Both teams will be rushing there to try and control it first.
That's right. Priceless ancient artifact. No worries. Just gonna shoot a bunch of rockets and stuff around. It'll be fine.
It's indestructible. Don't worry about it.
Apparently, they put some very durable hard coat on top of that in the future. Seoul Dynasty trying to keep Jaehong alive, but they can't. Janu picks one up early, and that's a great start already for the Vancouver Titans. Goodbye, Marvel, and it's looking rough again for Seoul. They're trying to scramble, but as the point unlocks here, Vancouver Titans going to take it again easily.
And when you win a fight like that, you're going to get your ultimate abilities. So when you win a fight, as you can see, Haksal already with the blue check, going to have the rally available to him at the start of this next fight. Will make the rest of his teammates very difficult to eliminate.
Yeah, it gives him that extra armor. Have to use it well. Meanwhile, Twilight getting really close to his ultimate too. All right, rally used. Toby down immediately. Seoul Dynasty, they cannot keep losing people like this so quickly. That said, Fitz comes back with two, including the main tank, but when it's all said and done, Vancouver Titans, despite the brawl, looks like they're coming out ahead. Seoul Dynasty, they just don't have enough people left Seoul Dynasty, they just don't have enough people left to take the point.
Yeah, but crucially, Fitz is going to stay alive here. Zarya charges up energy over time with her berry damage in return. So when Fitz is still alive, means his Zarya is going to be dealing more damage than Seoul, who died and has to respawn with 0 energy.
It's going to make it even slower for Seoul to make a strong attack here on the point. Oh, wow, Bumper around the side with the Earthshatter, lays a bunch of Seoul Dynasty low. It's going to be the Transcendence in response to Taeyong. Fitz, his Graviton Surge absorbed by John's Matrix, and another one! Both grabs absorbed by the Divas on the other side. 2 ultimates out of commission, and again, Vancouver Titans, man, using the chaos to their advantage, going to win an rolling here on Shrine.
Yeah, and when we see those ultimates absorbed by the Diva defensive matrix, they get eaten. They just disappear from the game. So it's, you know, getting one of those ults down is a huge boon. Fight huge, but Seoul can't retake.
It's going to be tough. Marvel and Zumba have their ultimates. Toby just got his sound barriers. Get some extra shields on his team. You gotta be careful with it. You can't go down early again. It's gonna be the sound barrier for Vancouver Titans as they get aggressive. Self-destruct used on the Vancouver side as well. It's like no kills out of that one though. Janu just getting his mech back again. Bumper a little bit low, but we're already into overtime here. 99% for the Vancouver Titans Seoul Dynasty. They need to win a fight, and they need to win it right now. On the edge with this map. Can they handle it? Trying to charge forward with Jaehoong's Transcendence here. Zunba holding on to his self-destruct for a long time. He did get the D-Mech onto Janu, but Marvel goes down again. Seoul just cannot keep their main tank alive, maybe? Self-destruct, no. Self-destruct, no, not enough. Vancouver Titans lighten up the kill feed, and that is going to be it for Busan. The retake, Seoul Dynasty got a tiny bit of percent in that fight, but it's gonna be Vancouver Titans getting the 2-0 on Busan and taking the lead here in the semifinals.
Well, Doa, this alternate roster might have worked against the NYXL, but it does absolutely nothing against the Vancouver Titans. We'll see if Seoul is going to make roster adjustments for map number 2.
Got a feeling they probably will, and they're going to need to make some strat adjustments too if they want to take any games off of Titans. We'll see if they can do just that when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
Welcome to Assist of the Week, presented by State Farm. The Houston Outlaws were just about to the end of Rialto when the Atlanta Reigns Dogman kept his entire team alive almost single-handedly through ults from Sombra, Reinhardt, Zarya, and Zenyatta, then followed up with a perfectly timed biotic grenade to punish his enemies and keep his entire team alive for the fight.
Well, that's one way to send a message. And the Atlanta
to the Blizzard Arena here in LA. The Vancouver Titans 1-0 up over Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty trying out their alternate roster there against the Titans as they did against New York. Worked then, didn't work so well now, did it?
No, it definitely didn't. And I think the hard thing about preparing for the Vancouver Titans with such a short turnaround after facing New York is that the Titans and New York Excelsior play polar opposite styles. You know, coming in, you don't have a lot of time if you're Seoul to turn around, try and rethink your strategies going in, your positioning, because while NYXL plays very defensively, we see the Vancouver Titans that are just so aggressive, and you know, the Seoul Dynasty just really couldn't hold up under those circumstances with that roster.
Yep, very true. And so that kind of leaves you wondering a little bit what they've got in store for the rest of it. I think we are going to see some roster swaps rather coming into the second map, and this is, you know, more kind of the Seoul Dynasty A team. A lot of people would describe like Fitz, Marble, Zunba. Sadly, Zunba with what a legend he was in Korean esports, but kind of the B team right now on Seoul Dynasty. So now they're gonna, you know, maybe put Fissure in and that kind of stuff, and so we'll see if that changes things. Yeah,
that's right, and I think that's really the exciting matchup. The two tank players, Bumper versus Fissure, as they were talking about on Watchpoint before the show. And both these guys are superstar level tank players in this league. You could make an argument that they are, in fact, the top two tank players in this league. So that's what I think we and a lot of other fans are very excited about seeing.
That's right, Bumper on your screen right now. You know, funny enough, he's got like one of the highest death rates on Reinhardt in the league, but like he gets so much done around that it works out. Let's take a look at our maps again. It looks like Seoul Dynasty has selected Hollywood for our hybrid map. It's a little bit of a different style map than we just saw. You take a control point, kind of a King of the Hill start, but once that happens, you get a payload to push through the rest of the map as the attacker. Once that round is done, we flip sides. You'll see how it works.
Yeah, as you will see. Yeah, the payload is going to be a car on Hollywood that the attacking team must stay close to move, and then, of course, as you're saying, it will flip sides. So we will have an attack round and a defense round. If both teams make it to the map, we will go into a time bank where they get another shot both on attack and defense.
Yep, that's right. And I'm psyched about this, man, because I think, you know, Fissure versus Bumper is going to be much more fun to watch. And speaking of Fissure, let's take a look at our substitutions coming into this map. Maybe we tease a little bit. There he is, Fissure. Who is a better main tank than Fissure? Well, you know, at this point, you know, maybe a couple people. Fissure's still really good. Subbing in for Marvel, of course. At that role, he's going to be playing the Reinhardt, the Winston, you know, the big kind of beefy front line for Seoul Dynasty. And he does it in a more aggressive way than Marvel, too. So the theory is that's going to be a better matchup against Bumper.
Well, also, Fissure really has a lot of shot calling within the team as well, so he's an in-game leader also.
This guy, in my opinion, is the star of Seoul Dynasty right now. Michelle coming in, a new addition to the roster this season, fantastic diva player, amazing Sombra player as well. So he brings a lot of great versatility to what they can do with their squad here. And of course, Munchkin filling in for Fitz here on DPS, cheering himself up. No, those are actually hand warmers. If you want to move fast on the mouse and keyboard, you got to use the hand warmers, right? Jexay subbing in for Toby at the main support position. Of course, going to be playing that Lucio going forward here. Maybe the Mercy.
Yeah, unlikely.
Probably the Lucio.
Unlikely, unless we do see some very interesting sort of multi-damage dealer compositions from Seoul, which I think is unlikely, but possible on point A if they're going to be on attack on this map.
Yeah, I suppose. We'll see. This is going to be a real change in gears for Seoul Dynasty strategically, so now it's really kind of on the Vancouver Titans as well to sort of be ready to handle this. And this is a situation where when you put a tank like Fissure in there, when you put a player like Michelle in there, suddenly Bumper's aggression might lead to opportunities where the backline is kind of ripe for the taking for Seoul Dynasty, and you got to imagine that's going to be kind of part of the plan going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's going to be just such a tough row to hoe going forward for the Seoul Dynasty.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
And you can pull off one upset in this league, but taking out both the number 1 and number 2 seeds is very uncommon across sports as a whole.
Well, the other thing with the Vancouver Titans, too, is that they've come close to losing a couple times in the regular season. We've seen a couple matches going to that 5th tiebreaker map in the regular stage, but somehow, some way, these guys always find a way to sort of dig out the win. So the ropes, it's so hard to finish them. Nobody's been able to do it yet. Seoul Dynasty, at least going to try to tie things up. Here as we move forward on Hollywood, that is the point right there that you need to take to get that payload moving. Apparently in the story, there's like a Omnic movie executive in there, and you're trying to get him to his parking spot.
Exciting times in futuristic Hollywood.
He's a VIP. But you know what? All of you watching at home, you're the VIPs in my heart. True.
It's a lot of people.
That's right. Hi, Mom. Seoul Dynasty. Titans taking up the defense this time. Michelle starting out on that Sombra that we talked about. Now, Sombra can get in the backline, she can turn invisible, she can hack opponents and turn off their abilities. Her ultimate lets her do it to everybody in a radius around her. So, hacking that health pack, throwing down the translocator, she can teleport back there if she gets in danger. This is a hero that Michelle is really dangerous on.
And the way to play Sombra too is to go on these flanks.
Stunned immediately. Hawksaw so ready with that shield bash on the Brigitte. Seoul Dynasty was waiting for a hack, waiting for that go button to go in, but it's not going to happen. It was a stop button there.
That's right, and it is a long play here for the Seoul Dynasty. You want to get on the flank with the Sombra, you want to harass people, pull them out of position, and get that EMP as fast as possible. Then you force a fight on the point where everybody's in the open, get the EMP, disable the enemy's abilities.
So Seoul Dynasty going to try to go around the left side here, going up on the high ground, through the stairway, pushing Vancouver Titans into a less favorable position here, but we might just see a rotation from Vancouver right around the side. We've seen this before from a couple teams, and it is sort of a bit of a dance here between the two teams, the attackers and defenders on this point a lot of times. Keep an eye on the Lucios. They're going to be trying to get behind the main tanks and knock them back into their own team for an easy kill here. Seoul Dynasty now on the point. Vancouver Titan dropping down. Can they push Seoul off, though? It's a little bit of a standoff here. Oh, the hack onto Slime. That's something here. And that's going to be Seoul getting aggressive. They don't have use of that Lucio. Fleta gets a kill into Hawksaw right away. Bumper a little bit low. Vancouver has to back off. And this is a great opportunity for Seoul Dynasty to get some serious percentage built up on the point. They're almost there. Bumper going in, and he goes down. Fleta ready again. And Seoul Dynasty, they look like they're going to unlock this point fast.
Yes, they do, and that was a great reaction to the hack on Slime. So when Slime is hacked, he doesn't have a speed boost. Because he was off to the side, it allowed Seoul Dynasty to use their own Lucio to speed onto the 5 members of the rest of the team. They took a 6 versus 5 fight, and with that player advantage, they get a handy victory here. 4 minutes and 20 seconds for them to push through this next point. They have to push through 2 more points in order to finish the map.
Yeah, it can be tough. They do have a little bit more time in the time bank to do it with, at least, as they roll through the gate. Vancouver Titan's back on there. There's the EMP coming in from the Sombra. Michelle setting it up for his team to get a few more kills, and that's going to be an easy team fight win. Everybody that got hit by that, no abilities available for the Titans, and they just...
Now, except for Michelle with that EMP, they only had to use 1 single ultimate to win that fight. A huge part of Overwatch is what we call ultimate economy, conserving your ultimates and using them slowly to get maximum advantage and to bait ultimates out of the opponent so that they play at a disadvantage constantly.
So we'll see if the teams can do that here. Both sides using that rally for the extra armor. There's a grab used by Seoul Dynasty. Can then get any kills out of it? We will see. Fissure a little bit low. They keep him alive somehow, some way. No, Twilight finishes him off now. Self-destruct comes in for Vancouver. Soul scatters. They've got the Lucio shield, but after losing their main tank, they have to back away. So unfortunately for Seoul, when it's all said and done, they're going to come into this next fight at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yes, they are, and you can see what the Vancouver Titans are very good at. Bumper on the Reinhardt has an ability to charge and pin someone and basically insta-kill them into a wall.
Does
right
a lot
there,
of damage.
when everybody's pulled into the Graviton Surge, Bumper is excellent about setting up those plays. And he's going to get the first pick off and ensure a Vancouver Titans team fight win.
Bumper's got his Earth Shatter ready to go as well. If he can get a unshielded opening here, going forward, trying to find an opportunity, uses it. Oh, he got stunned during the animation. That ultimate canceled. Bumper has to back away. He kind of telegraphed that one a little bit when he comes bounding towards you. What do you expect, man? Seoul Dynasty getting aggressive again, but they lose Munchkin. EMP dedicated again by Michelle, but Fissure so low gets finished off. Seoul Dynasty with a few kills, but not enough to swing. The tide.
I mean, the bad part about that for was used when all the rest of the members were already so low on HP. So it didn't really matter that the Vancouver Titans didn't have access to any of their abilities because it was a couple quick finishing kills onto Fleta and Fissure. They're going to be coming much healing from the ultimates from Twilight and Slime that it may be difficult for the Dynasty to actually finish any of these kills off.
It's a great stat there, man. When Bumper gets the first kill in a team fight, they've won 40 out of 42. That is insane. Graviton Surge used now. They do get the kill into Twilight early. Seoul Dynasty striking back. They lose Fissure, but now Bumper goes down on the Vancouver side. So Seoul, in the end, finds that opening they were looking for, and now the payload moving again.
Well, if you can eliminate the supports before they have a chance to use their ultimates, that's the key play right there. This is going to be a hack onto Twilight, so no opportunity there. hack onto Twilight, so no opportunity there to use the Transcendence. That's why the Graviton Surge was thrown out, because they wouldn't have the healing necessary to survive.
So Seoul backs away as Vancouver Titans respawn and get back on the payload again. Seoul being very methodical about this, trying at least anyway, but they're down to a minute remaining. They got to push that card a little bit farther to start point C and get a bit more time in the time bank. Gotta win another fight now. Michelle sneaking around behind, looking for the hack. Vancouver Titans getting herself. Oh, Michelle, he's moving the cart by himself. It's a back cap. Oh, he's gonna get it there. Maybe. They got her getting some real distance on that payload. You gotta watch out for that. If you're the Titans, can't be caught off guard with somebody sneaking behind you.
If there are no defending players near the payload, then even one member of the attacking team can move it, and you get 4 meters away from that, what we call a back capture.
You nearly got it there. That was really close, actually.
Yeah, Vancouver Titans, you have to pay attention to where that Sombra is, because she can go invisible and pop up and move the payload.
Yeah, Titans going to be face palming a little bit there after that one, but we'll see what happens. They're going to drop the Graviton Surge onto Seoul. There's the EMP, though. Is it enough to turn it around? Soul Dynasty, they've got the Transcendence from Zenyatta, keeping everybody alive here. Janu in the back line, just keeping that payload from moving, nearly gets popped out of that Diva Mech. Now with the sound barrier on Vancouver, they're going to re-engage here. Well, we're into overtime, but the fight is looking good for Seoul so far. Fisher with the shield up. Oh, he turns it, and Janu finds Michelle with that self-destruct. Twilight down, though. Vancouver Titans really trying their best to turn this around, and that's a great stall by Janu on that Diva, actually. But it's only going to last so long. Hawks all back again, but Seoul Dynasty having to scramble. Are you kidding me? Bumper back again already. He gets a charge, but Jae-Hong able to live. Checks, they finish him off, and the payload may finally get there. Vancouver Titans with a ridiculous stall, but Seoul Dynasty will at least make it to point C.
However, Doa, Seoul had to use so much in order to make that work. They had to drop a Graviton Surge at the end. Takes a while to build that ultimate back up, so they get a little bit more time, a minute and a half more on the clock right now to push it through the studio phase of this map. They have to get it all the way to that VIP space at the very end.
I mean, this is the tough one, too. You want to Seoul Dynasty kind of wasting an ult. Seoul Dynasty kind of wasting an ult.
Titans, they only have the Reinhardt ultimate, the Earth Shatter, available to them, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to hold on in this next engagement, especially if Seoul can work their way back up to another Graviton. 30 seconds to do it.
Right, Seoul Dynasty regrouping again. If they're not near that payload, it will start to roll backwards, as you can see. You got to stay on it as much as you can. Stalled out with both teams sitting on it at the moment. Seoul needs to push Vancouver off completely. Bumper waiting. He's got that Earth Shatter ready to go. Is he going to find an opportunity? His last one got canceled. 10 seconds remaining. Seoul Dynasty getting aggressive. He got to do it. Ooh, that Earth Shatter was absorbed by the shields from Seoul. No knockdowns out of that one. Now the rally comes in from Munchkin, giving his team that extra armor. We're into overtime, and Seoul has a long way to go here. They're going to win. They're going to need to win not one, but multiple fights. Killing Bumper. It's a good start with that, though. Graviton Surge used. Can they get anything more out of it? They can indeed. So
Going to be hard for Seoul to come back. Michelle almost there with an EMP. This has to work.
Michelle's EMP needs to be perfect if Seoul's going to have any chance of finishing this map right here. He uses it, catches the tank. There's a sound barrier, though. Slime not cut out, gets the shields on his team, but it looks like it may not matter. Seoul was ready. They lose Munchkin. Jae-Hong popping that Transcendence. Too late to save his teammate, but maybe just in time to save his team. Slime a little bit down. Here comes Twilight back again on the Ana. You're not going to live long there. And Seoul Dynasty, I can't believe they've done it. They complete their attack on Hollywood.
They do, but with no time in the time bank, Noah. Vancouver Titans, however, are going to have to make it through that entire map here.
Well, like we said, it gets really difficult to complete point C on Hollywood sometimes, and the fact that Seoul Dynasty went to overtime so early in that final point, it's really kind of shocking that they actually got it done. So Vancouver Titans, man, they're a great team. Wouldn't be surprised to see them equalize, but you got to be a little bit rattled after that.
Yeah, Vancouver Titans now, they knew that EMP was up, which is why the Lucio Slime was hiding out of line of sight. So he wouldn't get hit. He was still able to use his abilities, but even though he got the sound barrier down, which gives a massive amount of shields to everybody on his team, they focus fire too good from Seoul Dynasty, and once they lost their first member, became very difficult, I think, for the Titans to win that last engagement.
The target call.
For the Titans to win that last engagement.
The target calling looked really good by Seoul
Very
right at
clean.
the end there. When you pick somebody your team wants to take down, everybody needs to instantly snap to that. We're seeing from Slime's perspective here, he's avoiding that EMP, hiding behind the corner, hears it used, now he can use that sound barrier to give his team that extra shields, but you just can't get healing there fast enough, it looks like, for Titans, and Seoul Dynasty gets those kills anyway.
Yes, they do. And now Titans going to be here on the attack. They must take this point. They must run the payload all the way through the map to force us into a time bank mode.
That's right. And tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time right here on ABC, we've got the Stage 1 Finals. One of these teams are going to be in it. Hard to say who it's going to be at this point. Maybe Vancouver, maybe Seoul. Either way, you don't want to miss it. Tune in then. Meanwhile, here on Hollywood, we switch sides. Vancouver Titans on the attack now. Seoul Dynasty going to try to defend.
And we're not going to see a Sombra here for the initial defense from the Dynasty, going with the Diva instead for Michelle. Okay, this is going to be a long loop around. What the Titans are trying to do is get control of the high ground of Cafe. Nope, it's a fake play onto the point. So just trying to move the Seoul Dynasty out of position by doing a feint.
Seoul didn't really seem too phased by that. Fissure is on the low ground. He's kind of trying to bait the team in there so his team can jump down behind. Going for it here. Might come back to haunt him, though. Fissure getting a little bit low, but he does live. Meanwhile, Jexay has to return to his team. Oh, and Slime down early, but right after that, Vancouver ahead in the end. They lost a couple members, but it wasn't enough to be pushed off of that point completely, and that's going to be a really quick point A take by Vancouver.
Well, with the way professional Overwatch has played at the moment, as long as your Zenyatta and your Zarya are alive, you technically have the damage output in order to win short-handed. So Twilight and Sominsu able to get the necessary damage out in spite of a sort of disastrous seeming play into the corner at first.
Yeah, just solid clutch play from a couple members of Vancouver. Bailing out the team there now. They're going to push forward with that rally. Fissure gets taken out early. Bumper used that Earth Shatter to set up some more kills, and Janu is going to grab 3 on the way out of that one. Whoa, that was cleanup, but that's still impressive. That feels good to pad the stats a bit like that if you're the Diva player.
Yeah, pretty late elimination, though, onto Fleta. You do have a 10-second respawn time, so it does take a while to recollect here as the rest of the team of the Seoul Dynasty simply must wait.
Yeah, you can see now kind of where Seoul Dynasty comes back from after they die. And meanwhile, you can see as well the blue team at the bottom pushing that payload closer and closer to the end of point B. And remember what a struggle it was for Seoul to get it there. Vancouver Titans, meanwhile, just kind of rolling through so far.
Okay, so you can see Sominsu here, 50% charge, that number in the middle of your screen, but he's trying to get that Graviton.
Wants to use that ultimate so badly. The Transcendence coming out early. That's an Earth Shatter coming in, though. Self-destruct, no kills out of that one. Does clear out a lot of the shields from Jexay's sound barrier. On the Seoul Dynasty side now, the response, the Shatter from Fissure knocks down Janu. Meanwhile, Self-destruct comes in from Seoul, but no kills. They do lose Munchkin in the process, and now Vancouver Titans starting to roll over Seoul yet again, and that's going to be point B taken, and look at how much time they have in the time bank. Up at the top of the screen, a little over 5 minutes remaining. Vancouver can pretty much casually waltz their way to the end of this one.
And what you just saw there is what we call a split spawn, meaning that Munchkin actually spawned before the point was taken when the defensive spawns change further back. So that means that sometimes you can get caught out in the front, and that just delays your defense even further because you only have 5 players.
Hiding out in the security room now, Seoul Dynasty jumping down onto the point to push Vancouver back a little bit here. Janu gets back in his Diva mech, as you can see. Now they get aggressive. Bumper diving in. They separated Fissure. They've killed Fissure, carving him off from his team, and then taking him out. Meanwhile, the rest of Seoul Dynasty just dying on the payload to try to just delay as long as they can. Jaehong and a few other members do get back to spawn and escape, but meanwhile, Vancouver, with a team fight win, going to get a lot more distance again on that payload.
I mean, Seoul has yet to win a team fight on this attack run from Vancouver, and now we're at the very end of the map. Having 4 minutes in the time bank would be absolutely massive for the Vancouver Titans.
I mean, if both teams complete it, we go into an extra round, but Vancouver's going to do it with a lot more time available to them if they can finish it right here. Seoul Dynasty needs to dig deep for the defense, and that's a great kill to start with, taking out Soman on. That's almost certainly a team fight win, and it will be. You can see immediately after the Zarya's gone, Titans are out of there, man. They're resetting.
Yeah, they have to go back. They lost their main source of damage on this team composition.
Right.
Somitsu was positioned very far forward there and was vulnerable to Munchkin. He got stunned on top of the payload, didn't have the necessary backup to stop the damage from coming in. And now Seoul, they've stabilized. They have a lot of options here for ult combinations. Watch for the self-destruct from the D.Va, as well as the Graviton Surge from Fleta Zarya.
It's all about efficiency now for Seoul. How long can you defend now that you won that first team fight on defense? It's nearly at the end, but you gotta get it done at some point. Fleta looking for a chance to use that Graviton Surge. It's gonna be used by Vancouver instead. Seoul weathers the storm. Oh, Fleta's grab got eaten by Janu though. That's a big problem. Now a big shatter comes in as well. Vancouver Titans all over Seoul Dynasty yet again. Seoul barely able to hold the payload back at all, and Vancouver pretty much there. Less than 2 meters to go. Pretty much there. Less than 2 meters to go, and they may get it as soon as they finish off Michelle. Out of the D.Va Mech, out of this Mortal Coil. Fisher comes in, a swap over to the Wrecking Ball really quickly here as he tries to just delay as long as he can. There's a grab for Seoul, but it's not going to be enough to turn it around. Vancouver Titans, they finish their attack round just like Seoul did. We're going to extra innings here, but you get the time bank you had remaining when you finish it. Seoul had nothing. Vancouver had a lot. They're going to have a big edge here.
Yeah, they're going to have nearly 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And all they have to do to win this map is to take a single tick on the first point. They don't even have to capture the whole point.
No.
So it's pretty easy, one might say, to do that, especially with 3 minutes remaining. So Seoul Dynasty is going to have a very impressive defense, and the best they can hope for right now is a tie.
I mean, Seoul Dynasty just got wrecked basically on their point A defense last round, so unless they're going to show us something completely different here, this may end up being a pretty quick map actually.
Yeah, it might indeed, and just as a reminder, it is first to 3 to win this series. So if this map is, first to 4, excuse me, is going to be to win this series, and that means that if there's a draw here, it will not count to that first to 4.
Exactly. Well, let's check out the end of that series right there. Seoul Dynasty gave it a try here. You can see Jaehong using the Transcendence, but Vancouver just seemed to have Seoul's number the entire time. Ooh, nice. Earth Shatter from Fissure, but nobody really there to capitalize on that one.
I mean, both teams stunned each other, so there wasn't a way for anybody to follow up on a lot of that damage. Unfortunately, Slime also had the sound barrier to protect the members of his team that were stunned.
True enough. Vancouver Titans on the attack again, and as you can see, up by that A in the middle of your screen, the yellow tick 1/3 of the way through the control meter. That's all the Vancouver Titans need to reach to win this map because Seoul Dynasty finished their attack round with no time left.
See, Michelle there trying to be disruptive on the D.Va, doesn't quite displace anybody. So they read that the Vancouver Titans were going to come around the long way through that point, but they couldn't separate anybody from the death ball that is the Vancouver Titans roster.
Yeah, they're the steamroller right now, and they nearly got it right there. Seoul Dynasty barely back on the point in time to try to defend this. Now they have to keep people on there the entire time if they gave it a try, but Titans were just way better on this one. That's going to be a win on Hollywood for that Vancouver Titans. They are up 2-0 in this series.
I mean, I like what Michelle tried to do. They went for a bit of a desperation surprise play there to carve off one of the members of Vancouver, but it wasn't enough. First push will result in a Titans win.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to take those chances, but nothing working out for Seoul yet. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, halftime, our analysts will break it down. Don't miss it. We'll see you then.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. Titans are trying to punch a ticket to their first ever stage finals, and they're looking pretty good so far at the half. They're up 2-0 over the Dynasty. Welcome back, everybody. We are at a game break. I called it halftime because somebody here thought it could go 4-0. He's backstage. His name's Bren. He thinks this could be all Vancouver Titans. Josh, you said it might go 5 maps, though.
Yep.
But so far, it's looking like all Titans.
It is kind of looking like all Titans, but that Hollywood game was fairly close. Michelle's Sombra, it seems like it's still a strength for them. Honestly, I thought the Titans would be a little more dominant, if anything, so there's a bit of an opportunity here for Seoul to get back in the game.
Now, so we'll talk a lot about Michelle in a little bit, but first, we got to talk about these main tanks. We are highlighting Fissure for the Seoul Dynasty, and of course, Bumper for the Titans from Vancouver. But in that first game, it seemed to be all Bumper. Josh, I know you have a telestration for us. What did Bumper do to the Dynasty?
What didn't he do to the Dynasty? He destroyed them. It's honestly great. I've got an insights powered by Intel that I'm going to run you through just to explain what was going on here. So Bumper is the main tank for this team. This is the guy right here. He's going to be playing Reinhardt for them. He's got a balance using his shield to defend the team and being able to go aggressive himself. And the important thing to remember is that if he plays aggressive and does a huge amount of damage, this meter at the top is going to tick up. It's a race to 100%. If he manages to get this, the big ultimate, he can turn the fight completely for them. So he's going to try and push into them, push them off the high ground, and generate that ultimate charge. So there's Bumper, goes in, goes aggressive, gets a huge amount of damage. Nobody's punishing him. He can just do whatever he wants. At this point, he's already up to 52%, and the control point, it hasn't even unlocked. There's still 12 seconds left. He drops down to the floor, and again, he's just battering Marvel with this hammer, and nobody's punishing him. Look at this, it goes up, it ticks up and up. He's miles ahead of Marvel. Marvel's only at 47%, and Bumper's about to get his ultimate. And this is game-changing. Watch him as he uses it here. Slams it on the floor. Toby and Fitz, they can't do anything. They're stunned, paralyzed, drop down, and they easily take the fight. Bumper's such a unit. He's unbelievably good, and you have to punish him more than that.
A unit's a good thing?
Oh, it's a very good thing.
All right, I'm learning Brit. I like this. Okay. Well, he wasn't the only one doing work in that first game for the Vancouver Titans. We have to highlight a guy who later in the year we expect to show off on maybe a Genji the Ninja, but in this game, he was playing a healer. Who is it?
Yeah, that's Hoxel, of course. We want to take a look at his Brigitte. If you paid attention during the pre-show, the Vancouver Titans did say that they want to shut down Fleta. That's exactly what they managed to do. If we're taking a look at his stats right there, I want to point out his average time to charge his ultimate. 51 seconds. That's an insanely fast time. In fact, this is 40% quicker than the league average. It's 30% quicker than the quickest one in the entirety of the league. And it was about 21 seconds quicker than his opposition, Fleta, on his Brigitte. And if you can charge your ultimate that fast and use it in team fights, and more so if you have an aggressive team like yourself, who is looking for those team fights very often, it's just a great thing to have in the back.
If you have the ultimates, most of the time you're going to win the fight.
Pretty
that
much.
seems to be the name of the game at Professional Overwatch, but let's talk about what went down in our second map now, because you had Marvel in if you're the Seoul Dynasty, you have your control specialist on that main tank, but you sub him out, you bring back in the guy we were hyping up all pre-show in Fissure. Fissure and the Seoul Dynasty were able to cap all 3 points on their attack, but it was Vancouver much faster. But let's talk about the positives here for this Seoul squad. What did we see? What are you hoping to see more of?
I mean, you just touched upon it very briefly. It is the Sombra, and I am a little bit shocked that the Vancouver Titans did not play around it quite as well. At the very beginning, the Brigitte from Vancouver Titans, Hoxel, did a good job at kind of scaring Michelle, but afterwards, Michelle got so much room. Granted, we're playing on a map which has very narrow streets. This is fantastic for a Sombra. You get a lot of space to land big EMPs. It's an area of effect ultimate, which will hit everyone who is within that area. So obviously, if you're fighting in close corners, you are more likely to hit more of your opponents.
Yeah, Michelle is fantastic as well, and this is how the Seoul Dynasty ended up getting that upset over New York. So if there's any strategy that should be working here for Seoul, it's to try and play around the Sombra. I didn't think they had much of a chance because Titans are still so good at being able to play around it, and they still did win that map. but Michelle is the key to victory here for the Seoul Dynasty looking forwards, I think.
Looking at these numbers, the important ones are the EMPs and the hacks. As Zoe said, those hacks shut down the enemy abilities. That's going to stop Bumper from using his shield. That's going to cause all kinds of problems for Vancouver potentially in the future. But as we have it, right now, it's Vancouver just 2 maps away from moving on to the finals here for Stage 1. They could be crowned our Stage 1 champions, but Seoul not out of it yet. Let's talk about the next map, because here in the playoffs, we have something new this year. Loser gets to pick the map here, Josh. We're going to Assault next. What do you hope Seoul picks?
I actually think it's a little bit difficult for them because these maps are not great for Sombra. They are going to play into the Titans. Having said that, if I was going to try and pick a map to go for, I would probably tend towards Anubis. I know that the Seoul Dynasty are unbeaten on Horizon as well, but I think Anubis, where the Titans have actually lost in the past, is an opportunity to maybe play a little bit of that Sombra, play a bunch of other compositions, and knock the Titans a little off their game. But this is going to be a really tough road back into this match.
Josh, you originally called 5 maps. Is it staying that way?
I'm not sure. I think if they had an opportunity to take a map, it might have been Hollywood, so it might be a 4-0 at this point. I still have a bit of faith, though. Seoul aren't looking too bad.
So is there any hope for Seoul?
I want to say yes, but I have to say no.
Oh!
Sorry.
Crowd, do we have any Seoul fans out here? There we go. Dynasty, they need your support. Keep cheering all day long, guys. That's going to do it for us at the half. When we come back, it's a big game 3. Time to turn this one around, Dynasty.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Excelsior game.
You know what's up.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League semifinals, everybody. Dylan Monte Cristo here, and right now, Vancouver Titans up 2-0 over the Seoul Dynasty. It did not look good for Seoul in either our first or second maps. Hollywood was a bit of a stop, although I gotta say, Seoul Dynasty did push it all the way through. They did in overtime, but they got a little bit going there.
I really think the problem was their defense, right? They eventually pushed the payload all the way through the map, got 3 points, but they only won 1 team fight on that entire Hollywood defense. So once the Vancouver Titans knew what they were up against, they were they were pretty conclusive in the way they ended that map.
Right, you know, the thing is in our semifinals, in our playoffs, the loser does get to pick the next map. So the next map choice will be Seoul Dynasty. Let's see what they decided to go with. They are going to go with Temple of Anubis. As our halftime analyst mentioned, this is the only assault map that the Vancouver Titans have lost. They've only lost it one time, but hey, it's a loss. It's out there.
Yeah, Sideshow correctly predicting this next map, and I think the logic is sound. You obviously don't want to play on Volskaya, which could cause problems for you. Not only are the Titans undefeated, but you play a lot of that 3-tank, 3-support composition. There are other options available to you on Anubis, and also the Sombra works really well here because of the high ground and the open nature of the points on this map. So I think better for Seoul for sure.
Yeah, you got to get something going. We know they have the ability to play some of those DPS heroes. Obviously, Vancouver has that as well. They've just seemed a little bit more resistant to doing that throughout. So Seoul Dynasty going with the pick they think is going to work out for them. You know, hopefully for their sake, it does. Because if they don't, Vancouver Titans will be one map win away from moving on to the grand finals here in stage 1. So we'll see what Seoul can do, I suppose.
And sweeps are going to be rare and very impressive because in our stage playoff format, the loser always selects the map. So if you're going to sweep, that means that you have to win on 3 consecutive maps that the loser has selected as potentially their favorite maps to play on, their best maps to play on. So it makes it all the more impressive if you actually shut someone out.
I mean, if anyone can do that, it's the Vancouver Titans, right? I mean, their very first match, they got that 4-0. Bumper comes out and says, we're going to 4-0 everybody. Now, that didn't exactly come true, but they did beat everybody overall. So, hey, that guy on your screen right now, Bumper, you know, he's talking big, but they've been able to back it up.
Yes, they absolutely have so far. It's been a pleasure to watch Bumper's debut in the Overwatch League. A player with a ton of personality, as you're alluding to.
Yeah.
Loves to trash talk. He loves to make very bold statements.
You didn't see it right there. He looked very calm at that particular moment he was on camera, but trust us. Trust us. He's a fun guy.
So this is Assault, and what that means is, like in our first map, Controller, or last one, Hybrid, you have to take a point. But this time you have to take 2 points. After you take this point here, which is point A, you move to a different part of the map, and you have to capture point B. If you capture both points, you get 2 points, and then we go into time bank like on our last map. So it will be attack and defense for both teams at least once, maybe 2 times, maybe even 3 times.
It could go long. I mean, gonna put that teleport up, but it looks like it's a fake. He's just gonna get a few people up on the high ground, want to get that Winston in there. Meanwhile, Fleta raining rockets down from above. Munchkin swapping back to the Widowmaker. Gonna go for the sniper here as Jaehong now up on the high ground via that teleporter a little bit earlier. And he's gonna be in a great spot. Fissure already on the point right now.
That's right. You can tell that they were anticipating this, the Vancouver Titans.
So low.
Because they're playing the Winston, and that main tank gives you more mobility. He can jump onto some of these snipers and shut them down.
Yeah, Munchkin looking for those angles, but so far the Zarya shields on Vancouver has been good. He's not been able to really find a lot of targets yet, but there's one. Michelle takes out Bumper. Now Seoul Dynasty getting the 6v5 here on point A. Can they finish it off? Fissure rolling in with the Wrecking Ball. Kind of a hamster ball, but on steroids, as you can see here, man. He's got a grappling hook he can roll around with. Munchkin taking a shot, but looking for one in return. Gets a good one onto Janu there. Slime really low. One more shot will do it. Oh, Fissure the one finishing him off with the melee. Munchkin taking the high ground yet again. Seoul Dynasty Soul's not taking a first tick yet on this point. Bumper has made it back into the fray as well. Seoul Dynasty, they need to stay on this one. They need to make it happen. Gonna be the Mercy ult used by Jexay, getting that AoE healing in. Twilight down, Jaehong finds a pick now, and Fleta so close to that barrage on the Pharah. Things looking pretty good so far for Seoul.
Looking very good. After that first pick off onto Bumper, it was a slow roll. It did take them about 1.5 minutes to take the point, but when all is said and done, they're going to get more time here to take point B. Now, the question for Seoul is, how many of these heroes, if any, are they going to switch? Because they have a lot of ultimates available, but some of these ultimates can be hard to use. The barrage here from Fleta's Pharah makes you immobile during the animation, so you can be easy to pick off, even though you do deal a lot of damage.
I think you go for one attack here, use your ultimates. If it doesn't work out, you swap. There's a nano boost onto Fleta. He's powered up. Gonna be a lot of damage, and that EMP setting up. No shields, but no, they're gonna fly Janu right into him, and Sominsu finishes the kill off. Fissure gets one with Fissure gets one with the minefield onto Janu. So Seoul Dynasty getting a few kills here. Twilight actually uses the Transcendence. Meanwhile, Jexay using his Mercy ability to bring Fleta back to life with that resurrection. I thought Seoul was going to back off, but they're still in here right now. They're giving it a shot, but with Fissure dying here, I think now is where you go back and you make some hero changes.
Yeah, the issue is on these assault maps, on point B, the defender respawn is directly behind the point. So it's very difficult unless you eliminate everybody on the defending team all at the same time in order to take that point B. So now they're going to switch it up back. This stage of the metagame, triple tank, triple support composition to mirror the Titans. Bumper will also switch over to the Reinhardt now because you don't need as much mobility, and Reinhardt's big barrier can help protect your team in the close quarters fights on this point.
So Seoul Dynasty with about 5 minutes in the time bank here, and they're going to have to probably push a few times before they can really go for a big fight because they need to build up those ultimates. That takes time. Oh, it's going to be the Graviton Surge used by the Titans. It's on them to try to defend efficiently, and it looks like they will do exactly that. Just that one ultimate used by Seoul to set up that win.
Well, that's all it takes, though, because the Vancouver Titans know that since Seoul just swapped all their characters, which resets all the ults, that they're not going to have any support ults available to them, and you need the Transcendence, which provides a lot of healing, or the sound barrier to block the incoming damage in that Graviton Surge. So if they're all clustered together, you only need to bring them together with the Zarya ultimate in order to get enough damage to kill them when they don't have a lot of healing available to them.
Right. So Seoul Dynasty on the clock here, but they do have a little bit of time to build up some more of those ultimates. Vancouver Titans, meanwhile, they really want to win things as quickly as possible so they can save their own ultimates and give as little back to Seoul as they can.
That's right, and this choke point can be very difficult for the attackers to move through, but it's Vancouver on the charge.
What more do you expect, man? Bumper leading the charge, getting out there, trying to push back Seoul Dynasty. He'll do exactly that, and that's the thing, when you're playing against Vancouver, you're expecting a team to be really defensive in this situation, but that's not the Titans, man. They don't play that way.
I mean, Hoxall did use the rally, though, from the Brigitte, so a lot of that ultimate is going to not be very useful because Seoul was able to disengage. So they sort of baited them into that. However, it's still a standoff here as the teams are poking.
Still got a little back arm. Whoa, delayed Earth Shatter from Bumper as he gets bounced around. It's going to be Fissure getting the kill in the end anyway. But that self-destruct not changing anything for Vancouver like they wanted to. Now they're going to lose Janu. Fissure goes in with another charge, helping set up a kill onto Slime, and the Graviton Surge this time from Seoul not resulting in any kills for the Titans. Seoul Dynasty, they're winning this fight here. Fissure drops the Earth Shatter, and now finally, as you can see, Seoul starting to build a little bit of control percent here on point B. Titans with a few people coming back though. Seoul's going to need to grind here.
That is a lot of these members coming back, and Vancouver's back at full strength now.
Sound barrier. Fissure gets a kill on the Bumper again, though. It's not a bad start for Seoul in the second fight. There goes Janu, the tanks out of the way. So Seoul Dynasty not phased by the respawns from the Vancouver Titans, and they've got 2 ticks already. They are so close to taking B with a good amount of time left in the time bank. They lose Hoxall, though. Titans down again. Bumper charges back in, gets bounced out of the way by the Lucio. Fissure back onto him, gets taken out again. Munchkin helping out there. Seoul Dynasty will not be moved off of point B, it seems like. Janu trying to stay alive with that Zarya shield. He dropped a minefield, though. Seoul needs to be careful. And now the kills come in for Vancouver. They waited. They were patient. Hoxall on the Doomfist even with that switch. Seoul Dynasty at 99.5%. I can't believe they were not able to take it.
The Diva, so Doomfist was swapped to by Hoxall simply to delay the point, because if you can hit somebody with a punch and hit him into the wall, you can kill in one shot some of the lower HP heroes in Overwatch. So it's a desperation. 0.5%.
That's crazy.
To capping the point.
I can't remember the last time I saw a team get so close and not cap it. That's pretty devastating for Seoul. That's going to be like another minute or two off the time bank here. Can they win another fight? They've got the tools to do it.
They have a big ultimate advantage right now.
Yep. Fleta looking for a chance to use that Graviton Surge. Going to finally drop it there on Vancouver. Can they get the damage on? Sound barrier comes in from Slime to keep his team up, and now Fleta gets taken out on the Seoul side of things. They respond with a kill. The grab trap Seoul in the corner there, but it does kind of protect them as well. Being inside that little room, they're going to dive back in onto Vancouver, and those are the kills they were looking for. Now you just got to eliminate Slime, and that's going to be the take then for Seoul. If they can just get the last members of the Titans off the point, they do it. And so with less time in the time bank than they would have preferred, they do take the point. The important thing, they got the job done.
Now the question is, can their defense be better than it was on the last map of Hollywood? As they only have that 48 seconds remaining in the time bank.
It really is. Seoul's got to dig deep here with the defense against the Titans. We'll see if they can pull it off right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. Seoul Dynasty getting the job done on attack here on Temple of Anubis. Only 48 seconds in the time bank. Would have liked to get it done a little bit quicker, but they did complete their attack run. Now they go on the defense.
That they do, and they are going to just play the Reinhardt 3 tank, 3 support, it would appear. So this will be vulnerable if we see the Vancouver Titans pick a damage-focused composition like we saw from the Seoul Dynasty on their attack.
Right.
Could be a bit interesting here. We certainly know the Titans are capable of doing that, but they also love taking these mirrors because they are so good.
Oh yeah, if you're the Vancouver Titans, you're definitely not afraid of fighting a 3 tank, 3 support against your opponent's 3-3 as well. On the attack are the Titans right now. We'll see if they can get a better time than Seoul Dynasty. Michelle raining down a few rockets from above, just trying to find a way to maybe split somebody off. Titans going around the side though. They've got to go through that narrow choke. They're going to just charge right through. Oh, nope, they won't. All right. Yeah, they were going to get a bit more aggressive there.
Yeah, Fisher on the corner right now, waiting to see if he can get some of those hammer swings in to charge his ultimate. It is very difficult for the attacking team to get through this choke point without taking too much damage.
Vancouver thought they had a chance to separate Fisher from his team there, trap him in the corner, but it's Bumper who ends up taking a lot of damage in the end. Vancouver having to back off. Got to play it a little bit safe there.
Yeah, you can see the defensive team is able to split up around the choke effect attacks, which means that they get a lot more value.
Oh, here we go. Vancouver coming in hot. Sominsu a little bit low, though. They got to protect their Zarya. Meanwhile, on board with Bumper, he's separated from his team. Sominsu gets a kill onto Jexay. That's actually Jexay's first death of the map, believe it or not. Fissure down as well, and Titans wasting no time in dismantling the Seoul Dynasty.
Going to get staggered here, trying to contest the point, not going to have that opportunity as the rest of the Titans body block the Pilot Diva from touching.
6:36 on the clock as Vancouver Titans unlock point B on this assault map here. They have got all the time in the world and nearly all the ultimates available on their team to try to take this one.
Fortunately, Seoul is also going to be matching them in terms of ultimates, so it's not going to be a quick cap, most likely.
Yeah, Seoul, though, if Vancouver can beat him fast, he might get him right before the ultimates come up. Do they know that here? It's a standoff. Ultimate versus ultimate. There's a Graviton Surge used by Seoul Dynasty first, trying to get a lead in this fight. But Fissure's so low, they barely keep him up with the Transcendent Self-Destructs coming in from both Divas, but no kills. Seoul Dynasty still on the point right now, trying to push Vancouver away. Slime did use the sound barrier, but the shields from that have kind of eroded off of his team right now. Bumper knocked back, which is good because he was very low, but there goes Munchkin. The kills coming in for Vancouver now. They were so patient, and they're finally grinding these out again. There's a charge onto Michelle. That's going to be another kill for Bumper. Man, Vancouver Titans winning this one hard.
That's right, and there's still a Zarya down below the point. Will get eliminated, so Fleta's down, and that's
They can't get there! Seoul Dynasty doesn't get anybody back in time to even contest point B. And now a ridiculous advantage going into the extra rounds here on Anubis for Vancouver.
I mean, that's absurd. 5 minutes and 43 seconds. It will be rounded up to a minute for Seoul Dynasty, so they have a chance to make one attack here on point A.
Sure.
But
yeah,
they've got to basically just snowball this, take an advantage from point A, immediately snowball that into an advantage on point B if they want to have a chance. It's going to be really hard for the Seoul Dynasty. They've got about 1/6 of the amount of time as the Titans.
5:43 in the time bank for the Titans. Just a minute for Seoul Dynasty. If you have less than a minute remaining when you finish your attack on an assault map, they bump it up to a minute. Blizzard is very generous in that regard.
However,
the on assault maps here.
The other team also that was. So if you get 30 more seconds to round up to a minute, then the Vancouver Titans will also get 30 seconds added onto their clock. So the
generous but fair.
But fair. Generous but fair. The difference remains the same. So the Vancouver Titans now back on this defense. You'll notice Bumper is playing the Winston one more time. It's because they anticipate the Pharah Wrecking Ball Sombra attack that we saw, and they will probably be right here. We have to wait for the team to...
Seoul Dynasty, are they going to go for it again? Maybe. Munchkin looks like he's going to go ahead and park Jaehong up on the high ground again with that teleporter. You can see the Ana taking the teleporter up there.
Yeah, and then switching off. So it's just to position the Ana so you have the longest sight lines available. Ana is a hero that heals with a sniper rifle. As weird as that sounds.
I was going to say, do you realize what you just said? Yeah, that's it heals allies, it hurts enemies. You got a grenade that turns off healing if you hit an enemy with it, enhances healing if you hit an ally with it. And as you can see, he's got those great sightlines. Meanwhile, Munchkin on the Widowmaker. Widowmaker doesn't do any healing. She just hurts people with that sniper rifle. Looking for those shots again. Seoul Dynasty trying to just find ways to pick off members of the Vancouver Titans. But so far, the Titans have done a good job of staying hidden here.
Yeah, and as you can see, they have to stay out of the sniper sight lines, and they're having trouble because they're getting zoned off by this rocket launcher from Fleta's Pharah. They have to get to the point.
Yeah, you got to get back in there, man. Meanwhile, time running out for Seoul Dynasty, nearly into OT. It's going to be Jexay keeping the point alive with overtime. Fissure down early. Seoul lost their only tank. That is devastating. You cannot take the point with all these vulnerable DPS heroes that Seoul has unless Fleta starts popping off, man, getting a couple of kills. Michelle grabs one as well. Munchkin down as well as Michelle, and now Vancouver bringing it back. So Seoul Dynasty, they tried so hard. They got some of the kills they needed, but they just couldn't complete the attack and take point A. Fissure staying alive for an admirably long time, though. Hoxall and Somin Su. Jexay manages to stay alive, but not long enough, man. That's going to be the Titans with a really good defense against Seoul Dynasty.
And what you see there is one of the...
against Seoul Dynasty.
And what you see there is one of the problems when you go for these heavy damage dealing attacks. You don't have a lot of health on many of these damage characters, so you can't really stay on the point to capture it. You have to get those kills, because if you're trying to contest the point itself, there's too much healing, there's too much tankiness, damage absorption on the side of the Vancouver Titans. And because they were playing outside of the line of sight of Seoul snipers, There were no early eliminations that could help, and that's where Seoul Dynasty is going to end things with only 60% taken on point A. And they have to hold the Vancouver Titans for 5 minutes and 43 seconds to just that amount. If Vancouver Titans get more than 60.4%, map is over, Vancouver wins.
Nearly 6 minutes for Seoul Dynasty to have to last on point A against Vancouver. Barely lasted at all the first time they had to defend against the Titans here on Temple of Anubis. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a tough time for Seoul. Not as rough a time as it is for all the market vendors, apparently, that live in Temple of Anubis, as all their wares are now scattered all over the map.
I know.
Sorry, guys.
Really just making a mess of things here in Cairo.
Does Overwatch compensate them? That's what I'm wondering, man. There's a lot of like pots and like jars and things all over the place now. Somebody's got to pay for that. Not going to be me, Monty, I'll tell you that much.
Nobody asked you to, no, it's okay. And look at this, Vancouver Titans.
All right.
They're saying, you like playing all these damage dealers?
Oh,
we
boy.
can do it better. Bumper,
This-
their tank, is playing Hanzo as sniper.
This is a pure style move, man. Titans trying to flex on Soul a little bit here. You don't see the tanks playing damage heroes very often, but Bumper on that, on the Bowman, Hanzo. There we go. Well,
you can
that's
tell
not the
he-
greatest wall run. Yeah, you got to climb a bit higher than that, man. Bumper has no idea what he's doing on this hero, man. I don't know.
He knows how to put
right.
damage into a Reinhardt shield.
That's right. He's like, I'm getting the shield, guys. Don't worry, it'll go down in about 10 hours. Jaehong in a little bit of trouble. Oh, but it's Hawksall that takes him out with the rocket. Bumper stunned and taken out. You didn't see the Brigida coming from behind, did you? Oh, this work, as silly as this is. Hawksall still doing a lot of damage with these rockets, and that's where it gets serious. Bumper is now swapped to the Tracer, in case you're keeping track at home. Another one of his not-so-specialty heroes.
Barrage is ready. They're going to
Yep.
try and get it when they're all clustered in this room.
Oh, they've got him exactly where they want him. Yanu takes out Jexay there, and now here comes a barrage from Hawksall. Tons of rockets, tons of damage, and a map win for Vancouver Titans. They are up 3-0 in this series now.
And don't kid yourself, that was a style move.
Yeah.
That's going to get into the heads of the Seoul Dynasty.
Yep. That was just pure like end zone dancing there from the Vancouver Titans, man. That's they feel like they've already won it. Hard to argue. We've got another map coming up right after this, though. Stay tuned.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
Welcome back, guys. Vancouver is up 3-0, and I had a chance to talk with the team during halftime, and they told me not only do they have the best teamwork in the league, but they are extremely confident that we will be seeing them in the finals tomorrow. Their coach, Harsha, told me that they knew coming into this that Michelle from the Seoul Dynasty has a strong Sombra game, and they would need to neutralize him in order to succeed today. He said Vancouver support player Slime has been one of the Titans' keys to success, as he has been effectively shutting down that Sombra and setting up key plays. That's all for me right now. Back to you, Monty and Doa.
Thank you very much, Mika. And, you know, I would say putting Bumper on Hanzo is, you could call that confidence. I could think of some other words for that as well. But, you know, confidence, that's one.
You said that was like celebrating in the end zone, Doa.
It really was, man.
Really what that was a runaway play where you celebrate on the 1 yard line.
That's true.
Before you even get into the end
It's like
zone.
he pretends he's going to put the ball down. He's like, no, I'm just going to dance instead, man. That's right.
That's what that was.
It's like doing the robot on the 1 yard line while everyone tries to catch up with you, basically, yeah. But there you go. Bumper in a nutshell, pretty much. But Vancouver Titan in style, man. They are wrecking Seoul Dynasty. Let's check out where Seoul Dynasty will take us next. Remember, they did lose the map. They get the choice. We're going to go to Rialto for our escort map. Escort, as you'll see, pretty simple. There's a payload. You push it.
Yeah.
You push it, then you swap, and they push it.
Everybody's
real
pushing
good.
it. They are. We'll see if they push it real good.
If you're
Sometimes
the attacker, you want to push it real good.
Yeah, sometimes you don't push it real good, and then
right.
you end up not taking any of the 3 points on the map. So if you remember Hollywood earlier where they had to take the first point before the payload, they don't have to take a point this time. Payload starts right at the beginning of the map and can be pushed immediately.
Indeed. So, Seoul Dynasty, this is their last life, essentially, man. If they don't win this map, they're going to get swept by the Vancouver Titans, and the Titans will move on to the finals tomorrow. Of course, as we mentioned, Rialto is an escort map. Payload starts out right there. You don't need to take a point to unlock it like you do on the hybrid map. This time, you just got to get near the payload and push it. And if you're the other team, you got to defend it. Then you switch sides.
And there you go. That's the first checkpoint that teams have to make. So that's what we call point A.
Ah, yes, and the Teatro Bel Canto opera, one of my favorites. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that perfectly, too. I think I nailed that one.
Yeah, you always put Italian.
Final point here on this one. Get the payload all the way to the end there. That's going to be 3 points. Otherwise, just try to get as far as you can here. It's going to be Seoul Dynasty on their attack. This is it, man. They got to get a map win right here if they want to stay alive.
To start things off, just to see if they can pick off somebody with a sniper at the start of the map. Vancouver Titans, however, behind cover, not going to have that opportunity.
A Bumper this time on the Winston. Going to kind of touch the payload there to stop it. As he bounds over to the other side here, just trying to separate Seoul Dynasty a little bit. They've got Munchkin a bit separated from the rest of his team. He got away, though, got to live, but now they're all over Hoxall from the Seoul side. Hoxall is in a lot of trouble here, man. Fleta's trying to chase him down to get the kill, but it does leave Michelle vulnerable, popped out of that Diva mech. The payload's still moving in the meantime, but Vancouver Titans have the man advantage at the moment. 6v5 here. It's going to be just Michelle outside the Diva, and you don't do a lot of damage.
And you have no abilities either in the Violet Diva form, so you have no defense matrix to protect your allies.
You have a tiny gun, and that's it.
Yeah, it is a position of vulnerability, that's for sure, but nobody has actually been eliminated yet.
Not yet, but Seoul Dynasty haven't gotten a lot of distance on this payload either. They've had to kind of stall out. Michelle rather actually gets his mech back again. Seoul Dynasty getting aggressive with that sound barrier. Can they get the kills, though? Vancouver Titans being smart, they just back away, man. They use a rally, they put some armor on their team, and they're not going to lose anyone yet.
Yeah, they use Transcendence as well, so Jaeyoung has an opportunity to get his Transcendence if Seoul wants to play aggressively. They have a Graviton Surge as well.
Oh, Bumper's got the Primal Rage, too. At any moment, he could use that ultimate. Twilight does get the kill on the Munchkin. Good start for the Titans. That self-destruct, not going to get any more, though, but Fleta finds a kill onto Somin Su. Titans striking back again. It's going to be the Primal Rage from Bumper on that Winston. Going ape as he tries to push around the members of Seoul Dynasty, and dare I say they didn't even need that one, man. Seoul Dynasty already out. Bumper just chasing people down, trying to get that exit kill, but you're going to be satisfied with what you got, I think, if you're the Titans.
Yeah, and that's what the Primal Rage does double wins more frequently, and he can push people around. So good for repositioning enemies.
Yep.
During that ultimate.
And just all around looking threatening. Helps with that, too.
Looks like a very scary monkey.
That's right. Shake. Here we go. Bumper back on the high ground again, trying to build his ultimate up again. Meanwhile, the payload still stalled out by Janu. Ooh, they're going to jump onto Janu here. Nearly popped him out of his mech. That was so close for Seoul, but they didn't quite do it. Meanwhile, Michelle waiting out. He's got that self-destruct, that ultimate from D.Va now. And Seoul pushes forward. They've got Hawksall now. It was Fissure with the Earth Shatter, setting that one up for Seoul. Can they chain that into a teamfight win, though? Maybe they can with Bumper down. That's what they needed. And the Titans scrambling a little bit here.
And Bumper should be switching off the Winston right now. The only reason he was on the Winston in the first place was because he was afraid Seoul was going to run a lot of damage dealers again. However, it is inferior to the Reinhardt if you're playing triple tank, triple support against each other because you lack durability.
Oh, here we go, man. I mean, grabs used, but Seoul hasn't taken the point just yet. They get Sominsu with the self-destruct, and it looks like that's going to be all they need to finish off point A. They were so close, less than 2 meters to go, and now they'll finish it. So another bit of time in the time bank. And we start the point B phase here on Rialto for Seoul Dynasty's attack.
Still, it was a pretty solid hold from the Titans, and
Yeah,
they
it was
only
fair.
have 3 minutes, the Seoul Dynasty, to get through point B. And up here on this corner, this is one of the best defensive points on any map in Overwatch because you have high ground and a 90-degree corner if you're the defending team. So you have so much cover, and you force the enemy to go through a choke point. So it can be very difficult to break that point in particular.
That's right. Oh, Bumper knocked off the edge by Jexay. He's going to take a swim, and it is tough to swim in all that armor. Meanwhile, the payload left as Seoul Dynasty tries to press their advantage and get a few more kills, but that was a huge move for Jexay, getting the boop, getting the knockoff with that Lucio into the canal onto Bumper. You don't want that to happen if you're Vancouver. He's back now, but that definitely gave Seoul some distance to push it.
Twilight picks off Fleta right at the start. They find him alone, and even though Sominsu wasn't there at the start of the fight, Vancouver in a 5 versus 6 finds that opportunity to take out the crucial Zarya.
You can't lose your Zarya like that. Bumper's off again! Tried to go for a ride on the gondola, but guess what, man? That's never going to get you back to the payload. Seoul Dynasty again getting some more distance, and Jexay coming up as a hero for this team right now.
And what Lucio can do is to reposition people, what we call booping them, which is to shoot them off of the map. And that's what happens. If you fall in that water, you die instantly.
That's right. Nobody can swim in Overwatch, apparently. It's a future where no one learned how to swim. Meanwhile, Seoul Dynasty uses the sound barrier to try to keep everybody alive. Jaehong pops the Transcendence as well to continue the healing. Seoul Dynasty back on the payload again. Fissure lays Janu low with the Earth Shatter, but the kill did not come through. They couldn't follow up on that one. Titans on the back foot here. Bumper low. Ooh, gets saved by the Zarya shield and the Transcendence just in time. Now Vancouver getting aggressive again. Back onto Seoul, but that's a lot of damage coming out from Fleta. And that Graviton Surge, self-destruct, catches Twilight, and there goes Hawksall. Seoul Dynasty again pushing forward on the attack. Michelle with a 15-player kill streak. That's crazy for a D.Va. They get point B done, 2:30 on the clock for C.
I mean, Michelle hasn't died yet. That's why he's on this 16 eliminations, 5 vital blows, 0 deaths for the D.Va player because he was able to remech after getting demeched in that first engagement. But Vancouver Titans, they didn't have the opportunity to have a strong defense, and guess who is creeping up here with the Earth Shatter?
The pin onto Bumper. They get the Zarya shield on him to prevent the damage right away, and now Munchkin and Fleta down in the process. Fissure still uses the Earth Shatter, but no kills come through.
No, it didn't, but they didn't have a lot of resources available to them. Right, and you can see the spawn room right there that Sominsu is firing into. Vancouver Titans trying to take this strong high ground position where they can control line of sight and take less damage because of the cover the high ground provides.
That guy in the boat in the background is just watching this like, what in the world is going on over there?
There's a back cap going on right now, as we can see in the bottom right. The payload is being moved.
Jexay trying to be the hero again and getting back behind the enemy lines to push the payload by himself, and he got a good amount of distance on that too.
It's not only that, Doa, but it forced the Vancouver Titans into a worse defensive position.
Yeah, it's big, man. Jexay again, making the plays to keep Seoul Dynasty in it. He nearly has his ultimate. 94%, just a moment before he's got that sound barrier accessible again.
Left though for Seoul, they don't have a lot in the tank when it comes to the ultimate economy compared to Vancouver.
Need to win another big fight. They need to do it right now. Seoul Dynasty pushing forward. Vancouver Titans playing it patiently. Sominsu knows that a good Graviton Surge, a good ultimate from his Zarya could be enough to end it. They're letting more time bleed off the clock here as they allow Seoul to push forward. Now they're getting aggressive here. Seoul Min-soo looking for a chance to use that grab. Bumper drops to your shatter instead. There's a Graviton Surge from Seoul Min-soo now. Jaehong pops the Transcendence to try to keep Seoul alive. They're going to use the sound barrier as well. And now it's going to be the Titans losing all that health. Seoul Dynasty, they weather the storm. They win the fight. And they are so close to
unable to use it, and that means the Vancouver Titans have no protection as they're grouped together.
That's so big, man. Seoul getting really close to completing their attack run. Bumper back on the point now. Seoul getting aggressive. Right on him, of course, the sound barrier keeps him alive as your shatter comes through from Fissure. Bumper down, no, in the end, they couldn't quite sustain him. Michelle popped out of the mech, and now the Titans come back with their own Graviton Surge, but where's the follow-up? No damage from the Titans on top of that one, and Seoul Dynasty, I think they may have done it just like on Hollywood. At the last moment, they complete their attack run.
They do. It's been hard for Seoul to complete these attacks, but they have in our last 3 maps, and they do it again. So this is going to be another full push we have to see from the Vancouver Titans. They must match the Seoul Dynasty, and then we will head into Time Bank.
Well, it's like we were talking about a little bit earlier from Seoul, where so far in this series, the attacks really haven't been the problem. They got the job done in Hollywood. They were able to get a couple points on Temple of Anubis. But the problem has been the defense. When it's Titans' turn to attack, Seoul just seems to crumble a lot of the time.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and that's why we've been in so much big time bank situations for the Titans, where they have 6 times the amount of time that we see from the Seoul Dynasty. So it has been rough.
That's right. So Seoul needs to succeed now against the Titans, where they've been unable to so far in the series on the defense. Titans getting ready to go on the attack here. Remember, they need to take all 3 points to stay alive in this map. But they've still got the lead in the series. Checking out remember that last fight, there it is. Slime getting pinned into the wall by Fissure while he had his ultimate available. Couldn't use it. And that helped Seoul Dynasty get the win. Yeah,
big play right there. Managing to pick off the Lucio. But there were a lot of problems for the Vancouver Titans defense. Especially because Bumper got knocked off the map twice by Jexay. It made it so Vancouver could never defend in the optimal position.
It's kind of one of those fool me once situations for Bumper, but he got fooled twice there. So you gotta really be aware of what Jexay can do on that Lucio with the knockbacks going forward if you're the Titans.
All right, Slime actually gets a headshot there, but doesn't get an elimination. Does switch back over to the Zenyatta, or to the Lucio rather, afterwards. So that'll be just a quick. Now you go back to a standard composition.
You gotta go for it, right?
Yeah, Seoul just going to back off and play the corner here. Defenses typically play these corners because it does allow them to have more cover.
Yeah, you've got that wall readily available to duck behind if you take a little bit too much damage here. And Point A can be kind of tough to push through as far as these escort maps go. Rialto is one of the more difficult ones sometimes. Vancouver Titans with the high ground though. As they jump down, they're gonna get aggressive onto Seoul here. Fissure taking a little bit of damage, but not a worrying amount, not yet anyway. Oh, but Janu popped out of the mech. That's a good start for Seoul.
The payload's still moving though, and they have to re-engage onto it.
You gotta fight this, man. You can't just let the payload roll. Seoul Dynasty running to catch up to Vancouver now. Trying to separate Bumper from the rest of his team here. Fissure, though, the one who needs to back away as he's down about a third health. Now the Shatter comes in. That's going to be a kill on the Fleta and Fissure here. Michelle does finish off Bumper, but it is an advantage so far for the Titans. Seoul Dynasty trying to turn things around, but no, the kills come through for Vancouver, and that will be a lot of payload movement for the Titans.
And not only that, another stagger here onto the Diva. They don't want to eliminate Michelle until they absolutely have to.
Yep.
And there you go. Michelle is not gonna get the mech back. And that means that there's a big delay here on the spawn.
Grab used by the Titans, locking up Seoul Dynasty. Can they get the kills though? Not quite. Fleta though gets pinned by Bumper, and you can't lose your Zarya so early in the fight. That is so much of your damage in this 3-3 composition, and Vancouver gonna roll to an easy Point A take.
In these 3-3 compositions, because you're running 3 supports, you have so much healing that you really have to have a charged up Zarya to deal sufficient damage to actually eliminate one of the enemy heroes. So when your Zarya dies first, you simply can't punch through the amount of HP and healing on the other team.
Yeah, pretty much. Saw Seoul Min-soo's player cam on your screen for a second. All focused on the game, and why wouldn't you be, man? You're one map winner the one removed from the map for now. There goes Munchkin as well. So Vancouver Titans not phased at all by the attack from Seoul, and they're just going to keep pushing this payload. Run, Jaehong, or float, I guess. Float as fast as you can.
You can't float away from a giant hammer, though.
Need to install some rocket boosters on Zenyatta, I guess. I don't know where you'd put him, but
he looks awfully
needs to move faster.
He looks awfully serene for a man being chased by a huge German in a suit of armor with a hammer.
Yeah, I mean, he's called Zenyatta. He's not called, like, Nervous Yatta or something like that. It's pretty obvious, I thought. Shatter from Bumper, knocks down Michelle. Michelle gets a sound barrier, though, to stay alive for the moment. But here comes a self-destruct, and that is a great knockback to set up the triple kill for Janu there. Vancouver Titans, again, just instantly eliminating Seoul. That's point B.
That is point B. Nearly 5 minutes remaining for them to go ahead and... Nearly 5 minutes remaining for them to go ahead and push through the map, take point C, and send us into time bank. If Seoul can hold for the next 4.5 minutes, which is unlikely but doable, they will win this map.
It is so close now for Vancouver Titans to be put in an incredible position to win this series. They've just got to win maybe one, maybe two more fights here. On point C, Michelle engaging with the self-destruct. Bumper gets a shield up in time.
Big
Counter shatter, knocks down 4, and that's going to be more kills coming in for the Titans. Seoul Dynasty on their last legs here, man. They are scrambling. Oh no, and they demech Michelle.
Oh.
That is a tragic situation for Seoul. He had to swap, had to give up his ult percentage to get his mech back again. And that payload for Vancouver is nearly there.
It is so, there's so much time left on the clock.
Dude, Seoul in a lot of trouble. Shatter gets nothing. Fissure taken out. It's going to be Jaehong trying to stay alive with that Transcendence, but Twilight can match on the other side for the Titans, and they will not be denied. Seoul Dynasty getting taken apart piece by piece, and that will be the end of the round, as it is a little over 3:30 in the time bank for the Titans as they complete their attack. Massive advantage for them.
Yeah, really big advantage for the Vancouver Titans as we head into time bank. Now, what's going to happen is the Seoul Dynasty will get a minute back, even though they had no time. They pushed in overtime, but that also means the Vancouver Titans get an additional minute on their clock. So right now, if you leave the payload basically at all in overtime, it will tick down to 0 and you will lose immediately. So Seoul will pretty much, as soon as the clock hits 0 off of their minute, they will have to have one player on top of the payload at all times, or the payload will end there.
Yeah, when you're in this situation where you just start with a minute, you're in overtime almost immediately. And then it's just such a crucial game as we look at the clock appropriately. Seoul Dynasty nearly out of time here on this one, as you can see. 1 minute in the time bank, overtime right away, and then you can't leave the payload. That's a problem, because then your enemies get basically a free attack on whoever's on there constantly. And it's really tough to sustain.
Yes, that said, though, they can push the payload in overtime through the entire map. It is theoretically possible for them to do that. So
theoretically.
Yeah, Seoul will have this attack round, and as far as they push the payload, Vancouver will have to match or exceed that in order to win the map.
Yeah. Janu, please don't deface the buildings. I know it's the Overwatch logo. That's cool and all, but come on.
They destroyed all the beautiful marble railings.
I guess. They really hate railings, I guess. Here we go. Seoul Dynasty on the attack, just trying to get this payload as far as they possibly can with the limited time they have. Titans on the defense. Of course. Here we go.
Titans stalling out the cart right now. It is a battle of poke damage to charge these ultimates up. So Minsu on the Zarya on the high ground, trying to beam the members of Seoul Dynasty. Vancouver will fall back to the next corner, just shaving seconds off the clock.
Got a little bit of distance, but a lot of times this is where you see the payload stop. Seoul Dynasty leaving the payload for just a moment to try to take this high ground back from the Titans. It's a dangerous game, though, because while you're doing this, that payload is not moving. Check safe, just kind of hovering over the edge, trying to get it to budge just a little bit. The Bumper there to stop it. Vancouver Titans now with 10 seconds remaining. This is the fight they need to win. Michelle really low and Fissure down already. Twilight grabs 2. The flex support popping off for the Vancouver Titans as he grabs nearly another one here. And this is where the payload ends. For Seoul Dynasty, Vancouver Titans with all the time in the world to win on their round.
And guess what? They win this round, they win the whole series.
Yep.
So Seoul has to have an immaculate defense, and they don't have to get it pushed very far against them either. So will be really difficult for the Dynasty.
I mean, what can you say, man? Vancouver Titans basically have this one all locked up. It would need to be like one of the best defenses we have ever seen in Overwatch for Seoul to even have a chance to stay alive in the series. And even if they were somehow to win this map, they still got to win 3 more in a row to win the series. So it's been all Vancouver Titans so far. You know, they've still got a little bit more work to do, but this one's feeling a little bit like a victory lap.
Yeah, we'll see if the Vancouver Titans decide to play another unorthodox composition or not. They have that opportunity considering it's only 42 meters. And speaking of unorthodox compositions, Seoul is going to be using Orisa and Bastion. Now, Bastion is a hero. He's a robot that can transform into a turret and deal a ton of damage with a minigun. So the Orisa provides a barrier for him, and this is sort of a hard point composition. They are going to set up on the high ground and basically create a point that the Vancouver Titans are going to have to dive into in order to eliminate.
Sonic arrow to see everybody on Seoul Dynasty. You plant that on a wall, and it gives you a little bit of vision through that wall for a short time.
Now he should switch. No, he's actually just going to go to it for the time being.
Well, they think they can just push this payload here. They're going to try to force Seoul to come to them, but that's going to be tough, man. Slime down already. They'll got a kill here. Yeah, but he got Fissure in the process. Knocked him into the canal, it seems like. Twilight down, so Seoul responding with a few kills themselves. But the big thing is that Vancouver Titans players are going to come back so much faster.
That's right.
XA down. Uh-oh, Seoul Dynasty. This is it, man. Michelle popped out of the mech. This is it, man. Michelle popped out of the mech. Fleta knocked in the canal again. Vancouver Titans just a little bit farther, and they'll punch their ticket to the Stage 1 finals. Fissure comes back on Hammond as quick as he can, but I think that's going to be all she wrote for Seoul Dynasty. They are so close, man. Vancouver Titans gets hacked, but they get to the finish line. The Titans will 4-0 Seoul and make it to the finals.
Big win for Vancouver. Statement victory in the sweep as they head into our grand finals tomorrow at noon as the favorites.
Yeah, and doing it in style too, man. It really didn't even look like much of a challenge for Vancouver as they just kind of steamrolled their way through Seoul Dynasty. And you can see everybody having a good time here, but man, Seoul Dynasty, I think, wishing they could have taken it a bit further. This was their first stage playoffs ever, so credit to them for making it this far, but it is going to be Vancouver Titans winning this one.
Yeah, semifinal, certainly a respectable finish for the Dynasty, but for Vancouver, anything short of a Stage 1 title, I think, is going to be considered a failure with their undefeated Stage 1, and of course, so far, undefeated here in these playoffs.
Yep, that's right. So that's our match. Stick around, though. We've got some post-match analysis coming up next. And then it will be after that, San Francisco Shock versus Philadelphia Fusion. Take a quick break. We'll see you after just a bit.